Hello, it is Monday, June 1st, and this is episode 6 of Sundry News. We'll start with this today, because there was a race yesterday. From NASCAR, wild finish at Bristol. Photos, highlights, and full recap. Brad Keselowski wins second race of season at Bristol in wild finish, providing exactly the kind of wild finish that has made Bristol Motor Speedway one of the most popular venues on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. Brad Keselowski was in perfect position to take advantage of hard racing in the closing laps and earn the victory in Sunday's Food City Presents the Supermarket Heroes 500. Even with an oddly quiet Thunder Valley, Bristol delivers again. Bristol Motor Speedway has long been built on atmosphere. 2020 stage points for the NASCAR Cup Series. Top 10 GIFs from NASCAR Cup Series race at Bristol Motor Speedway. Sunday's NASCAR Cup Series race at Bristol, in typical fashion, was a true hootenanny. That's a fun word. At track photos, Bristol Motor Speedway Spring Race 2020. Here is a picture of Joey Logano and Chase Elliott exchanging words on pit road after the pair crashed. Exclusive angle, the big one at Bristol. Truex Jr. spins, hits wall at Bristol. That's why he was so far behind. Martin Truex Jr. spins and hits the wall at Bristol Motor Speedway to bring out the red flag, probably. Elliott after Logano run in at Bristol, going for the win. Chase Elliott reacts to the incident with Joey Logano on the closing laps at Bristol. Apparently he's going for the win. Thank you, NASCAR. The Daily Wire. From the Daily Wire. Fuck Trump and keep going. Tegan Carell, other celebs posting bail for rioters. Oh, brother. CNN's Van Jones. Forget KKK. It's the white, liberal Hillary Clinton supporter America should fear. Sports writer seemingly cheers Minneapolis burning during riots. How he's panicking as riots hit close to home. Aha. Iconic St. John's Church near White House set on fire as riots rage. Trump. Antifa will be declared terrorist organization, finally. And I have this up here that I wanted to read, so we'll do that. Watch. Rioters set fire to home with child inside, then block firefighters' access. Emotional police chief details incident. And I want to read this because I want to find out if the child is alive. On Saturday, Richmond Police Chief Will Smith, was overcome with emotion detailing one of the worst acts of violence carried out in the city during the previous night's rioting, ostensibly over the death of George Floyd. Yeah, ostensibly. Supposedly. Allegedly. According to Smith, rioters set fire to an occupied multifamily residence with a child inside, then repeatedly blocked firefighters' access to the scene. Thankfully, officers found a way to secure access and save the family, including the child. Okay, good. One incident that is particularly poignant, that truly illustrates the seriousness of the issues we're facing, Smith told reporters. Protesters intentionally set a fire to an occupied building on West Broad Street. This is not the only occupied building that has been set fire to in the last 2 days. They prohibited us from getting on scene, the police chief continued. We had to force our way to make a clear path for the fire department. Protesters intercepted that fire apparatus several blocks away with vehicles and blocked that fire department's access to the structure fire, Smith said. Inside that home was a child. Officers were able to, Smith attempted to continue, though he was overcome with emotion, help those people out of the house. We were able to get the fire department there safely, the emotional police chief added. When you take a legitimate issue and hijack it for unknown reasons, that is unacceptable to me, Smith stated firmly. It is unacceptable to the Richmond Police Department, unacceptable to the city of Richmond. Daily Wire has to work on this problem with the paragraphs not being finished. Protests began popping up across the nation on Tuesday over the death of Floyd, a black man supposedly over the death of Floyd, ostensibly, allegedly. A black man who died after a police officer had his knee on the 46-year-old's neck for over 8 minutes during an arrest. Yeah, no excuse, unforgivable. No reason to do it, which is why he's been fired from his job, arrested, is being charged, and his wife fucking divorced him, as shown in viral video footage. So you have justice. The justice is happening. The justice is going to be carried out. This is not necessary. This is just an excuse for antsy people who have been stuck in their homes for the past few months, to get out and get their fucking jollies off. An 8-minute clip filmed by a person on the street shows Floyd telling police he can't breathe and begging the cop on top of him to stop before he falls unconscious, the Daily Wire reported Tuesday. Officer Derek Chauvin was identified as the officer who knelt on Floyd's neck outside Cup Foods on Chicago Avenue and East 38th Street. Quote, "He's not even resisting arrest right now, bro," one bystander is heard telling the officers, according to the video. "You're fucking stopping his breathing right now. You think that's cool?" The protests quickly turned ugly. Arson, looting, and violence spiked in places like Minneapolis, Los Angeles, Atlanta, New York City, Rochester, Richmond, and other cities. Which, just doing that in other cities for the reason that they're supposedly doing it, it is also nonsensical. Because your city is not responsible for the death of another person in another city. That doesn't work that way. You can't say you're protesting that death without... If you go to the city where it happened, then you can do your protest and it makes sense. But if you do it in your own city, especially when that, quote, protest, unquote, results in your fucking city being burned down and destroyed, that's not the reason that you're doing it. You can't be doing it for that reason. It doesn't work that way. Since the incident, all 4 officers involved in the arrest have been fired. Investigations from the FBI and state law enforcement have been opened, and on Friday, the officer at the center of the incident was taken into custody. Surprise, surprise. And there's the video of the police chief. But we already read what he said, so we don't need to watch it. Yahoo Sports, read and react. From Yahoo Sports. Trending. NBA's Adam Silver condemns racism, police brutality in internal memo. It's just not necessary. Michael Jordan speaks out against ingrained racism in America. Seriously? Is this what sports is about? J.R. Smith beats up alleged truck vandal. Messi. Life, soccer will never be the same after COVID-19. The Lead. Read the Room, Baseball, by Jay Busby. Morning, friends. Hope this finds you well after yet another tough weekend. It's impossible to ignore what's happening in most of America's major cities right now, and I mean that both in terms of the sheer volume of the news and in the obligation we all share as Americans. Come on, dude. I wrote on the civil unrest in Atlanta this weekend, and I hope you'll also check out all the ongoing coverage over at Yahoo News. Here, though, we know you don't come to us for news topics, so let's go with the very, very little that's happening in sports right now. Sunday evening, baseball's players delivered to owners their proposal for the 2020 season. The pitch includes a 114-game season that would end on October 31st. I don't know how many games is normal for a season. The right for all players to opt out of the season if they wish. Possible salary deferrals if the 2020 postseason were canceled. The Players Association pitch also would include 2 years of an expanded postseason, which would be an instant windfall for owners. The issues at play here are threefold. 1. Will the owners agree to any version of this plan? 2. Are both sides willing to scuttle the entire season if they can't reach an agreement? And most importantly, 3. Do either the players or the owners think anyone really gives a flying fuck about their nibble and peck bargaining right now? Yes, sports is a business, and business must go on. But at a time when a pandemic is ravaging the country, it's not the pandemic that's doing the ravaging. It's the overreaction to the pandemic. It's the panic from the pandemic. Panic over the... Not... At this point, I can't even imagine that people are really still afraid of the fucking germs. What are they afraid of? I don't fucking know, but a quarter of the nation's workforce is unemployed, and there are riots in the streets. Ball players and owners quibbling over how to divide fat checks is as misguided as it gets. Let's be clear, though. This isn't just a case of the players being greedy. The owners bear a huge share of the responsibility for this impasse as well, trying to institute further pay cuts on top of already prorated salaries while keeping their own books tightly shut. Plus, either side can take a step toward the middle if it chooses to do so. Baseball has an astounding knack for chopping its own legs out from under itself again and again. Yes, part of that is because baseball's union is the strongest in sports. Ah ha ha. Unions. Ha ha. And that gives baseball players leverage their counterparts in football and basketball don't have. Oh, so it's a good thing? I don't think so. But there's also a mindset at play that brings the game to the brink of shutdown time and time again. Fans be damned. That's frustrating in normal times. Now it's beyond tone deaf. Read the room, baseball. Find the midpoint between the owners' and players' proposals. Get a deal done, or just come back when you get your act together in 2021. We'll be fine either way. Follow Jay Busby on Twitter. Robinson, NFL exec. Protests, not play, ended Cap's career. Well, yeah. He made himself look bad. And by extension, he made his team look bad, and his teammates. He made everybody look bad. Thamel, college coaches make varied statements on protests. Well, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Hence, variation. Rohrbach, who benefits the most and least from the NBA's return? The kicker. Kareem scores again. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the NBA's all-time leading scorer, penned a thoughtful and insightful essay over the weekend giving a broad perspective on why protests are happening. Give it a read. It's about respect and human decency and how we share that with each other. Because burning cities is a way to get respect. It doesn't matter at this point what the protesters who are still peaceful are all about. They are being represented by all the bad behavior. Something has to be done by those people to separate themselves, because nobody else is differentiating between them. The media certainly isn't. The media is just trying to give legitimacy to all the bad behavior, and that's not fucking working. That's the end of that. From Yahoo, the Daily Yahoo. New video appears to show moments before George Floyd was pinned to ground. The new footage shows one officer leaning into a police car and scuffling with George Floyd, who can't be seen. He was already in the police car and he was still scuffling. Dude should have just given up. He was in the police car already. This, obviously, still, it shouldn't have happened because you don't fucking put your knee on somebody's neck and leave it there for 8 minutes. Alright, that's ridiculous. But it wouldn't have happened if he hadn't been resisting arrest. Okay, we'll read it just to see. Maybe he wasn't resisting arrest. Maybe the cop was just hitting on him inside the car, sure. Investigators are looking into a new video that appears to show the moments before George Floyd was pinned to the ground and died. On May 25th, 4 Minneapolis Police Department officers responded to a 911 call reporting that Floyd had allegedly used a fake $20 bill to make a purchase at a local Cup Foods. About 20 minutes later, Floyd was pronounced dead following an encounter with police. The new video shows one officer leaning into the police car and scuffling with Floyd, who can't be seen. The video was taken by a camera at the Cup Foods. The new footage comes in the wake of a viral 10-minute cell phone video by a bystander that sparked protests across the nation. In it, former officer Derek Chauvin is seen pinning Floyd to the ground with his knee pressed into Floyd's neck. In the video, Floyd can be heard repeatedly saying, "I can't breathe." Floyd had complained of being claustrophobic and having trouble breathing before he was wrestled onto the pavement face first, according to the arrest warrant. Yeah, well, that's the sort of thing one would say when one was being arrested. Chauvin was arrested on Friday and charged with third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter in the death of Floyd. A complaint released by prosecutors on Friday claims that Chauvin had his knee on Floyd's neck, blah, blah, blah. The Hennepin County Medical Examiner's autopsy revealed no physical findings that suggest a diagnosis of traumatic asphyxia or strangulation, according to the complaint. On Fridays, attorneys for Floyd's family announced they were going to conduct an independent autopsy. On Sunday afternoon, Chauvin was booked into the Hennepin County Jail after being transferred from the Ramsey County Jail. Later that day, he was again moved to the state prison in Oak Park Heights, Minnesota, over COVID-19 and crowding concerns. His first court appearance is scheduled for June 8th at 2:30 p.m. So, I'm not going to show the video. Okay. And no link to the video. Okie dokie. Michael Jordan releases statement. I am deeply saddened, truly pained, and plain angry. I stand with those who are calling out the ingrained racism and violence toward people of color in our country. Fuck you, dude. 2 police officers fired. Oh, not fuck you because you're black, dude. Because that's not how it is. Fuck you because you are a person of power. You are a famous person with great influence, and you're feeding into the myth. That's why fuck you, dude. 2 police officers fired after HBCU students shocked, dragged from car amid protests. 2 young black people were violently arrested in Atlanta as demonstrations sparked by George Floyd's death unfolded nationwide. Demonstrations. There is a reason Schertz residents are wearing masks. Get back to normal faster by containing the spread of germs. Masks help everyone, and they're soft and easy to wear. Soft and easy to wear. Protests could cause catastrophic setback for controlling coronavirus, experts say. If you were out protesting last night, you probably need to go get a COVID test this week, said the mayor of Atlanta. I don't think anybody cares anymore. Well, at least those people don't care. Trump took shelter in White House bunker as protests raged. Secret Service agents rushed President Donald Trump to a White House bunker on Friday night as hundreds of protesters gathered outside the executive mansion, some of them throwing rocks and tugging at police barricades. Trump spent nearly an hour in the bunker. Okay. It's fucking sick that he had to do that because of his own country's citizens. Kylie Jenner said she is scared for her daughter Stormy in an Instagram post where she spoke out about George Floyd's death. Oh, come on. She said she would never experience the pain and fear that many black people go through every day, but nobody should have to live in fear. Featured. Huge protest crowds might cause COVID-19 surge. Oh, well, you just said up here? Yeah? Okay. Following large-scale protests over the fatal arrest of George Floyd, officials are urging caution about gathering in large numbers during a pandemic. What's hot? Yahoo searches what's hot. Trending now. Sophia Pernas. I don't know who that is. Floyd Landis. Well, look at that. COVID-19 is at number 2. Shirlane McCrae. Who the fuck are these people? Michael Douglas. There's a name I know. Pool Pumps. Custom T-shirt. Jennifer Connelly. Physicians Mutual. Brooke Shields. Scarlett Johansson. Okie dokie. 1440. Good morning, it's Monday, June 1st, and we're covering protests across the country, an Apple bug bounty, and a great week for Elon Musk. Have feedback? Let us know. Need to know. Protests grip the U.S. I have to keep reading about this shit. Tens of thousands of people in cities across the U.S. marched in weekend protests sparked by the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis last Monday. A number of demonstrations turned from peaceful to violent, particularly overnight. Curfews were set with little effect, and the National Guard was activated in at least 15 states. More than 4,100 protesters have been arrested since Thursday. Journalists in many cities were arrested or pepper-sprayed by police or suffered violence from crowds. Let's just say these journalists are not being particularly smart. They're still wearing their masks, for one thing, which is kind of making them look like everybody else on the street. And, I mean, for all we know, their camera people might not even be holding those giant TV cameras that you see in the movies, because we have all this technology these days with phones and everything. For all we know, those cameras don't actually make the journalists look any different from the protesters again. Just saying. Floyd, a black man, protesters. I'm saying it now. Rioters. Demonstrators, I guess. Floyd, a black man, died after being restrained on the ground with an officer applying pressure with his knee to Floyd's neck for more than 8 minutes, 3 of which he was unresponsive. Floyd was later pronounced dead. The officer, Derek Chauvin, was arrested over the weekend, charged with third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter. Read the full criminal complaint here. Prosecutors say they expect charges against 3 other officers since fired who were on the scene but declined to provide details. In Minnesota, Governor Tim Walz, Democrat, mobilized the full force of the National Guard for the first time in state history to enforce curfew in Minneapolis. Good for him. Anecdotal reports from both city officials and community leaders suggest a number of outside groups with conflicting ideologies, unrelated to Floyd's death, have descended on the city with the intent to foment violence. The number of protesters from such groups is unclear. See photos from the weekend demonstrations here. I noticed how you didn't actually name Antifa, which is finally being designated as a terrorist organization, but you still don't have the balls to fucking name them. 1440. New York City eyes reopening. Oh, finally. New hospitalizations due to the coronavirus in New York City fell to under 100 per day over the weekend, reaching levels not seen since mid-March. The city and its surrounding counties, one of the world's largest hotspots, account for the vast majority of the state's 370,000 cases and nearly 29,000 deaths. Thanks a lot, New York. You're making the whole country look bad. With much of the state in a Phase 2 reopening, the city is on track to begin an initial reopening next Monday. Separately, the Supreme Court denied a California church's challenge to the state's 25% occupancy cap on in-person services during early phases of its reopening. Boo. Public health officials have warned indoor group gatherings are one of the riskiest scenarios for contracting the virus. The U.S. had reported 1.79 million coronavirus cases, with 104,383 deaths as of this morning. Deaths rose by 2.7% since Friday morning. See the moving 3-day average here. Have more questions? Check out our Expert Curated Coronavirus resource page. An historic launch. NASA astronauts Doug Hurley and Robert Behnken successfully launched from Florida's Kennedy Space Center Saturday, marking the first crewed launch from U.S. soil since 2011. The mission is also the first to employ a spacecraft fully built by a private company, with the pair guiding a Crew Dragon built by Elon Musk's SpaceX to the International Space Station. The launch relied on a reusable SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. The pair docked with the ISS yesterday morning, testing out the capsule's touchscreen guidance system. The primary goal of the mission is to validate the ability of SpaceX's vehicles in ferrying NASA astronauts, but Hurley and Behnken will assist in ongoing projects on the ISS for up to 90 days, with a scheduled return no later than August 28th. Watch Saturday's launch here. Stay safe, smell good. Demeter Fragrance Library. How does a company go from creating everyday scents like dirt kitten fur, and gin and tonic to manufacturing a premium unscented spray hand sanitizer. Well, we have no idea how they pulled it off, but they did. Demeter Fragrance Library adapted at lightning speed from serving fragrances to the likes of Kate Moss and Drew Barrymore to creating a spray hand sanitizer that helps fight off germs to keep us all safe. Their formula was approved by the FDA with 80% ethyl alcohol, the maximum of the active ingredient that kills germs on contact. So check out Demeter Fragrance Library today. Their hand sanitizer fits perfectly in your purse or pocket, and you'll never have to worry about the panic of sold-out Purell at the grocery store again. Stay safe, smell good. But it's unscented. How are you going to smell good if it's unscented? Please support our sponsors. In the know. Sports, entertainment, and culture. Netflix, Amazon, HBO, among media companies offering support for Black Lives Matter movement via social media. Former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick sets up legal defense fund for protesters arrested in Minneapolis. Forbes no longer listing cosmetics mogul Kylie Jenner as a billionaire after report alleges Jenner inflated wealth and forged tax documents. See expose here. Bobby Joe Morrow, three-time Olympic track gold medalist and former Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year, dies at 84. Christo, artist best known for large-scale artworks created alongside late wife Jean-Claude, dies at 84. Science and technology. World's largest all-electric plane completes its first test flight. Aircraft is a retrofit Cessna 208 Grand Caravan, a popular medium-range plane, and carries up to 9 passengers. NFL All-Conference. Best of ACC top pro players from the league. 11-man squads on offense, defense. Position debates, league strengths. Picking a team to win a Super Bowl. I don't know if I would trust an all-electric plane. I'm just saying. Apple pays $100,000 bug bounty to security researcher for discovering a flaw that would have allowed hackers to sign into any Apple ID account. Microsoft to lay off dozens of journalists and editorial staff amid push to rely on AI to curate news and content on its Microsoft News and MSN.com platforms. Business and markets, brought to you by The Ascent. U.S. consumer spending drops by record 13.6% in April, following 6.9% decline in March. Not shocking. 30-year average mortgage rate falls to 3.15%, the lowest level on record. Analysts say low rates are bringing out potential home buyers despite coronavirus concern. That might be a good thing. Tesla CEO Elon Musk awarded $775 million in stock options as part of long-term compensation agreement after Tesla market cap eclipsed $100 billion for 30 days. Market cap. 37 million. That's the number of Americans who are likely using the wrong credit card. Earn upward of $1,148 by using the right card for your spending habits. #ad. Politics and world affairs. U.S. hosted G7 summit postponed until September after German Chancellor Angela Merkel declines June invite over coronavirus fears. Little pussy bitch. President Trump considering invites to Russia, India, and other non-member G7 countries. President Trump to withdraw the U.S. from the World Health Organization. Good. Move expected to be challenged by Congress, which controls spending but does not specifically support the WHO. U.S. WHO Funding 101. What does the WHO do besides support Communist China? Atlantic hurricane season officially begins today. Above average 19 named storms projected, with 3 to 6 expected to turn into Category 3 or stronger storms. License to kill. Germs. With Demeter Fragrance Library's 80% ethyl alcohol spray hand sanitizer, you'll be zapping germs left and right. Pet your neighbor's dog, spray your hands. Feeling paranoid about getting the mail barefoot? Spray your feet. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, if you have a bottle of Demeter's hand sanitizer spray on hand, you'll be able to kill germs and your... what's the word? Yeah, and your immune system on contact for peace of mind. Check it out today. Please support our sponsors and kill your immune system. Etc. Which countries are reopening in a single visualization? Millennials are approaching 40, and family life looks different. Millennials are approaching 40. I'm only approaching 30. Am I not a millennial? Do I not have to be a millennial? No, I still do. You're also officially the unluckiest generation in U.S. history. I believe that. Your coworkers are wearing you out worse over Zoom. Got $300,000? You can have Tom Brady's Cadillac. Many can dine in restaurants again. Here's what to expect. Every Batmobile explained in an impressive amount of detail. Cool. Thanks to one mom, even the Tooth Fairy now has a mask. Thanks a lot, bitch. Worthless stick of junk will protect you from 5G and costs just $420. Tell us how you really feel, 1440. Clickbait. When your boyfriend's photography skills don't measure up. History book. Marilyn Monroe born, 1926. Happy birthday, Marilyn Monroe. Happy birthday, Morgan Freeman, 1937. Rest in peace, Helen Keller, 1968. CNN debuts world's first 24-hour news network, 1980. GM files for bankruptcy, fourth largest. CNN debuts world's first 24-hour news network. When did they stop being a news network? I wonder. I mean, now aren't they like just a 24-hour junk network? When did that happen? GM files for bankruptcy, fourth largest U.S. bankruptcy in history, 2009. The only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision, Helen Keller. See, if I were really bold, I would read that in the deaf person voice. That some people do. But I won't do it. I won't do it. Nope, 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 nope. I won't do it. That's all for today. Thank you very much. Goodbye.